I'm Sari Kimball, and I've done just about everything in the food industry. I have helped hundreds of packaged food business entrepreneurs, and now I want to help you make your delicious dream a reality. Whether you want to be successful at farmers markets, online, or wholesale onto store shelves, food business success is your secret ingredient. I will show you how to avoid an expensive hobby and instead run a profitable food business. Now let's jump in. All right, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. And today I have a very special guest, fills my heart to have this conversation today with April King of Better Than Provisions. And April, she and I have been working together for over a year now. And her and her husband, Earl, hired me as a consultant. And we are definitely going to have a podcast with both of them to really go through their business and all of the awesome things they're doing. But I wanted to bring April on as a great example of someone who we evolved our relationship from just consultant to a coaching relationship. And I think it's so important to hear the side of things and what April's going to talk about as far as how coaching has helped her grow in her business. So welcome, April, and thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. And I'll just say it and we say it to each other all the time, I just love you. And it's just been such a fun, so much more than I expected, right? From a client. And
I would say the same is true. And I'm like, don't get me started.
We've definitely shared some tears together too.
Yes.
You and I have been working together about you becoming stepping into, we call it for fun, being a badass boss lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that entrepreneurship, that co-founder, CEO, whatever role you want to put on there. And let's see, how long have you been actually doing your business? Because you guys had already started.
Right. So we've been in business for 3 years. And I think that you met us right around our 2-year mark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you were doing farmers market. It had a different name. You maybe had a couple, 1 or 2 little wholesale accounts. And then why did you guys want to get help? Why did you hire me?
Well, so it wasn't my first experience hiring a coach or a consultant. And I knew that if we wanted to accelerate our progress, that getting someone on board to help us, there's so much that goes into it, right? There's obviously the knowledge that you have for packaged food business, right? And all the things that revolve around that with, obviously we did a rebrand. So our packaging and finances and, knowing what to charge and how to track it and all of those sort of practical logistical things, right? Because we wanted to make some strides in our business in that regard. So it made sense to us to bring somebody on board that had the expertise that we needed to take the next steps. Because, you can learn anything, right? You can learn anything anywhere on the internet. You can get all this information. And I had been following you for a while. I had been watching your YouTube videos and I think you started the podcast though, shortly after we started working together, but I had been listening to you on YouTube and I was like, wow, she really knows what she's talking about and it would be really helpful. So that's kind of why we stepped into it initially, was to get the expertise in the packaged food part of things.
Yeah.
And then it became so much more.
And then we just kept evolving the relationship. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and I was scared at the beginning too. Remember, I was like, I don't know, it was an investment and I kind of hemmed and hawed on it. One of the things I think we worked on in our coaching is my ability to have more trust for myself, more trust for other people. And so initially I was a little skeptical about working with someone that didn't really know our business, that didn't know me. And so I had some reservations and some hesitations. And then Earl and I just decided we were going to just jump in, and, we met with you and we really resonated. You're very down to earth and you're easy to talk with. And so we had that experience initially. And so we just, pulled the trigger and dove right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really about moving our business forward faster. Like we could figure out like I was saying before, we could figure out all of that stuff for ourselves, but how long was it going to take us?
Yeah.
And how many mistakes were we going to make along the way? Yeah.
And mistakes are still going to happen, but then having someone that you can, and we'll talk about like feedback and have that person along the journey, right?
Yes.
Has your back. So, so in the last, 14 months or so, how do you feel like entrepreneurship and stepping, like, what do you feel like has changed in that time for you personally?
A lot. Yes. I was actually reflecting on this recently, and since I was in my 30s, so, 15 plus years, I have always kind of had something a little extra going on the side. And what I realized is that when things would get hard, or when I would get frustrated, or I would get bored, I would quit, for lack of a better way to say it. Yeah, I would find a way to stop.
Yeah.
And some of that had to do with like my self-limiting beliefs, right? The things that I believed about how successful I could be. And some of it was that there might have been something personal going on in my life that was, maybe it was self-sabotage, but maybe it was just something, life circumstances that got in the way. And so ultimately I would end up giving up on it or trying something new, well, this isn't quite working yet, so let's just try something new. And I've done a lot of things. I've done several different MLM businesses in the past. I mean, I've got my health coaching and nutrition practice, which I still have, but there were iterations of that, right? There would be, I would start like a program or something, and I would get into it, and 2 or 3 people would enroll, and I would get discouraged, and I'm like, oh, this isn't working. And so then I would try to find something else to do. And what I realized in reflecting on this is that we embarked on this business 3 years ago. And that's probably the longest stretch for me, aside from the health coaching piece, which, like I said, has been bits and pieces of different things, that I've been able to commit to one business. And about the time that you came in, there was sort of a little bit of a disenchantment with it, because we were still in the same spot sort of that we were when we started. If we really look back on it, there's evidence that we weren't, right? That we had made progress, but it was so small that it was really hard to see. But it was, being the entrepreneur who sticks with it when the going gets rough is who I really wanted to be and show up as. So when we committed to this, I was like, okay, I'm all in. I'm going to go for it. And the entrepreneur piece of it, and really embracing that, has helped me to realize that it also matters how you're growing personally, right? You can't grow your business without growing yourself, and, vice versa, I suppose. It's been an adventure in self-discovery and an opportunity to face things about myself and learn things about myself and accept things about myself.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I love about you is that you are willing to go on that personal development journey, and you're open to that. I do have clients that are very strictly consulting, and that's where we just focus on the doing. But as I've been learning about entrepreneurs and myself, is that it's always you, right? You're at the center of it. And so if we don't work through the issues and grow as people, like, we can do the doing all day long, but I think you make bigger strides when you do the inner work. the personal
Absolutely. And
development.
that's one of the reasons we chose to work with you. And I chose to continue on going from the, sort of consulting for the packaged food business into more of a personal coaching situation, is because I know the amount of work. I know that you get it. First of all, you get it. You get it, what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You get what it's like to go through the ups and downs that it brings. And you're also a person that is committed to working on themselves and growing. I mean, we've had a couple of different times where you're like, well, let me rethink that for myself, and come back to the table, and we'd have a conversation about things that was really inspiring to me as someone who's also trying to grow. I think that that's kind of one of the keys to a successful relationship, right? Is to enter into it with a partner that has a growth mindset. And so you have been that partner because you also have the growth mindset. And so to see you while you're working with us and helping us to grow, to see you also, and I'm going to get teary, to see you also working on yourself is incredibly inspiring and encouraging, and makes me feel like, it makes me relate to you in a human, she also makes mistakes, and she also has things that she's working on, kind of a way. And I think that for me is probably the most attractive piece about our work together.
Thank you. It's gave me a little chills there. But yeah, I mean, I'm a work in progress, and we're evolving together, I would say.
Yeah.
On this journey. One of these days we're going to meet in person. I will come down to Tucson, or you'll come to Denver, and we'll just need to set aside like 4 hours.
Right. Yes.
Over dinner.
It'll be nice to give you a hug and say hello face to face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things I've seen, which I'm just going to brag on you for a minute, but I have seen such a transformation. I mean, I remember even in the first few months, we were working on branding and naming, and you were definitely getting kind of, things would happen, right? Outside circumstances, things would happen, whether it be personal or in the business, and it would kind of stop you, right? And then you take like a couple weeks or even a month or sometimes two, where it was like, okay, I gotta like get back into it, and then you would show up again, and we would get going again, and that's totally understandable. It's very normal, very part of the entrepreneurship. But I think what I've seen a big shift in the last, I don't know, 5-6 months has been about like, I think just you recognizing like, I can keep going and I can keep doing hard things, and I'm going to listen to myself, but it doesn't mean I'm going to like totally shut things down. And I've just seen you show up in such a big way in your business. I mean, you guys have done, well, I've seen you've been doing reels and like just putting yourself out there, making yourself more vulnerable for your audience. And that's really powerful. And I think you've seen the benefits from that. You guys recently did a Kiva fundraising round, and I know that was very vulnerable for you. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. But I've also seen you making decisions more powerfully and having difficult conversations with me, sometimes with your husband, with outside other people. I don't know. How does that sit with you? Do you see it too?
I do. And I think it boils down to making strides in confidence. Yeah. And again, that piece of trusting myself to make decisions. And it was through the work that we've been doing together that I've had opportunities to make these decisions. And maybe prior to like 5 or 6 months ago, I tended to take things more personally. When something would go wrong, it would have to mean that, either I did something wrong, or there was lack of intention on the other side of it. And it would set me, like you said, it would put me off course, because I would maybe ruminate on it a little bit, and, maybe wish for things to have been different. And the reality is that when I was in that situation, and what I'm doing more of now, is making the decision to just take action, right? Not take it so personally, make some decisions, have difficult conversations, whatever it's going to take to move forward, rather than sit in it and feel bad about it
Right.
and worry about it. I think worry was a big part of it, and I think also through this work, I mean, obviously I have a background in nutrition and health. And that comes from this business was born out of that. Right.
Yeah.
And that, but even health coaches and nutritionists have their own struggles and challenges with things like food and self-care and I think too through this, and I think the Badass 30 was a piece of that too, is that I set some goals for myself that I continually did day after day after day, and I proved to myself that I could trust myself to do these things. But not only that, I implemented some things that have made a huge difference, right? So I'm on my 100th day of meditating straight in a row.
Oh my gosh.
And I had tried meditation. I can't even tell you how many times I tried to bring that in as a tool for my life because I know the value. And I've, of course, recommended it to people. But for myself, I would start it and then other stuff would get in the way. I'd get busy with other things, or I would get bored with it, or whatever the situation was. And I would start and stop and start and stop. And now I have embraced it as like a non-negotiable thing that I do for myself. Right. And then I've made some changes to my own diet that I've found, really work for me. And I feel like those pieces, putting those into place, have affected like how my brain functions.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm building these other skills in having difficult conversations or, making decisions without worrying that it's not perfect. I think that these other life pieces have come and lifted and accelerated that as well, or, enhanced that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of a lot of things all coming together. And
Yeah.
I know that I could have done these things on my own, but having a coach and someone to not only hold me accountable, but someone to celebrate the small wins. Like, I think we miss those small wins. We look for the big stuff, right? Like, oh, the new packaging is done, or, oh, we're selling on Amazon, or, like we look for those things. But if we really just take a step back, you can see that each day. And I think that was part of the Badass 32, right? I made the commitment to make a decision every day. And what I realized through like writing those down is that every day I do make decisions. I do make choices, but I hadn't seen them because they were so small. And what I felt was like insignificant, and they didn't, it was like, oh, that doesn't really matter. I made the choice to get up half an hour earlier, big deal. But the reality is that it is a big deal. And when you start to notice that you are maybe already doing what you think you want to be doing, it was just really powerful to see it spelled out.
Yeah, and we're doing the Badass 30 as a group. And I know you've done it a couple of times, and it was so fun. I just highly recommend all of my clients do it that I work with. And it's something I'm just going to start out every coaching program with, because it's so powerful. It seems so small. Like, what? These 5 things. Yeah. But when you start compounding the days and you're like, you would send me screenshots of your meditation app and be like, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. And now 90 days. And it's like,
right.
And just pausing, you and I talk a lot on Voxer and, even text sometimes, but it's like, whoa, I know we've had conversations like, stop, let's just celebrate for a second, that amazing thing. And now we have so much history together too, that it's like, I know when this big thing happens, when you get a new account or things are rolling, like, I know you and like how important that is and what a big deal that is. So it's so fun. Mm.
Yeah. It's fun to have, and that's another point. A good point is that it's fun to have someone to celebrate those wins with, that's a cheerleader, someone that's in your corner that knows how hard you're working,
Yeah.
and what it's taken for you to get to this place, to have to have you there to send a message to when something, when I get a new account, or even something as something small, and you're there to reinforce it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's really important in the growth piece, is to have someone there that gets what you're doing and gets what you're going through. I mean, you obviously know what it takes to be an entrepreneur. You also know what it takes to be a packaged food entrepreneur. And there's a lot of things that come up that, I mean, it's so funny because I believe that you had said to me once, it's just kind of like, there's always going to be some problem to solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of like being solution oriented and knowing that when it comes up that there's going to be. And it's interesting because I've always been a resourceful person. I've always solved my problems and found a way. But to have the reflection of you seeing it and encouraging it to feed it back to me, it's like, oh, and then right. So it feels like I'm closer and closer to that really badass status where I'm confident and know that even if I make a decision and it's maybe not the right one, like I can always change my mind.
Yeah.
I can always make a different decision. You can always make a different decision. You can always back up and go another way. But sometimes those things cost money and they cost time, right?
Right.
So that happens, but it's just, I think that's the nature of the beast, right? If you want to be in business for yourself. And you had
Yeah.
mentioned the Kiva loan and putting myself out there. So yeah, we did this, we did a $10,000 crowdfunding loan, right? Kiva is an organization that gives microloans to businesses like ours that are trying to make improvements. And we had some marketing goals and some goals to expand our production. And so we needed the funds to do that. And what I didn't realize going into that was how much I'd have to put myself out there, right? I
Yeah.
thought, well, because you start out like getting some support from your community, but the support you need from your community and your circle of people is kind of small. So it seemed like, that part will be really easy, right? And then they open it up to their community, and then all of these strangers can help, right? So I don't have to put myself out there that much. I just have to ask a few people. But when we got into it, what I realized we needed to do was we needed to ask everyone. And, one of those people I asked some of those people I asked were family members, which
Mm-hmm. It's a big deal
was
for you.
was really difficult for me, right?
Yeah.
And come to find out that even before asking one of my brothers, he was already there and had supported me. And so it gave me an opportunity to ask hard questions and be open, vulnerable to, maybe a no,
Yeah.
no, sorry, I can't help you right now. But what it also did was show me just how incredible of a community of people I've built around me and I belong to, and just how people come together. Like it was reinforcing in that way. But yes, I had to do videos,
I
right? I had to get on
know.
video and
And
talk about what we were doing.
direct asks and it's not
Yes.
even the no, it's the no answer, right? The crickets. And you're like,
Yeah.
you start making it mean all these things, right? And yeah, like, okay, am I not going to take this personally?
Right. For a person who tends to take things personally, that's really freaking scary. And but what it did was then I was like, oh, well, now that I've got practice getting on video, I can get on video
I can do
anytime.
that. I can.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
it.
I still haven't taken your challenge yet to get on video to do 30 reels in 30 days. But that's definitely in the back of my mind. Like, okay,
Yeah.
well, when I do my next badass 30, maybe that will be it. Right. And now that I have some experience doing some video, and it's building the muscle.
Yep.
It's building the muscle. It's trying. And I think, again, going back to like the coaching piece, it's like you're practicing, and you're doing these bits of making decisions or making a video or whatever it might be to try to get better at it. But you can't be good. You can't necessarily always be good at it when you just start. So you have to like try and, which is very vulnerable. But the thing that I have seen happen in the past year is we have gotten so much stronger. We've built those muscles. And so now when it comes to having to face something going wrong with a market or the packaging or, a batch of granola, I had to dump 60 pounds because I had something go wrong, right? We were testing a new ingredient. And first of all, I won't make this mistake again because I decided to do that on a day where I was doing like a full cook rather than just a test batch. So note to anyone who's listening, if you're trying something new, do a test batch at a smaller scale before you have to throw out 60 pounds of product, right? But then it happened. And, I think that I handled it so much better than I would have ever handled it before.
I know. We were on a phone call and you're telling me this and I'm like, she's not freaking out. Like, she's totally calm about it. She's like,
yeah, I think Earl freaked out a little bit more than I did. He was like, what? And I think it was probably because his idea would have been to test it in the smaller manner. But I'm like, no, we need to make this granola. We need to get it out. And then of course we couldn't get it out because it didn't turn out. So, yeah.
Sure. Lessons learned, but you didn't make it mean all these terrible things about you. And you didn't make it mean when Earl was a little upset, you didn't make that mean all these things. I was like, who is this?
Who is this? So what have you done with April?
Because there would have been a time when that would have like devastated you and really,
it would have put me down for a minute. And and I would have been like, oh, I can't do this. And, that negative sort of self-talk would have creeped in and I probably would have made it mean that, I'm incapable or,
we don't know what we're doing. This is never going to work.
Yes. We've had those days though. Back in the beginning, I was like, that's it. I just want to quit. And but that's a natural feeling, right? I would assume it's kind of the same for anybody who's venturing, in this direction, trying to build any kind of business. It's just, you have those days where you are just exhausted and, things aren't working and going your way. And you just, you lose a little hope. And I think that working through all of that over the past year has shown me that it's never hopeless. I know that in other areas of my life, but in this particular venture or area, it's like, wow, we can get through this. Now it's sort of like, oh, well, and we have this great branding. So now it's like, oh, what's next? Where are we headed? And it's so exciting.
I see so much momentum. And I would just say, I just kind of got chills again, but I think it's your resilience, right? That like you have worked that muscle of resilience and it just comes from practice. It comes from doing little things like badass 30. Like I think one of yours was like drinking a greens drink every day, right? Like you think like, what does that have to do with building a business? But making a commitment, showing up for yourself, honoring your word. And then when things do go wrong, you're like, oh, I can do that, right? I can do hard things. I can commit, I can show up because we don't have confidence. People want to have confidence before they've ever started and they've never done it before. It's like, that's not the way. It's not the way it works.
No, it doesn't work that way. I had confidence in certain areas, right? And things that I had previously proven to myself.
Sure.
But I wasn't certain that I could do this, that we could do this and, take it to the next level. But I also knew that I was never going to take the business to the next level unless I leveled up myself. Like I have, and I still am evolving into that person, but I've had to become a better version of myself to show up for the business in the way that it needs, and also I think that we are often, we're programmed with that sort of upper limit, that ceiling that's there, right? This is as far as I can get before I don't believe anymore that I can go past it, or that, and I think you likened it to a thermostat in the past, right? So it's set, it's got that set point, and you have to move the set point. And the only way to move past, to, I think, bring your business to a place of success that you've never had before, is to move that set point for your own beliefs, your own belief system, your own mindset, how you believe or don't believe it's possible. And I think that, the small things have added up and are moving that set point for us.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't change it. As difficult as some of this has been, and I'm not going to lie, some of it has been painful.
Really? Yeah. It's been a roller coaster.
Yes. Yeah. But at the same time, I could never see myself going back to work for someone else. Right. I could never see myself, getting a job. I love this. And, and it takes a lot of work, right? You've got long days and sometimes sleepless nights, and, everyone, I find it funny because, and I joke about this a lot, because people will say, "Oh, you own your own business. You're so lucky." And I'm like, I am. I believe that I'm lucky, but at the same time, I don't know that they fully can comprehend the amount of sweat and energy that goes into doing something for yourself.
Right. People just see the outside. They do that with me now too. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you just have an online business and you do." And I'm like, "Do you have any idea?" You don't know.
Right.
What it has taken.
Yeah. It's a lot. And that's what I might say to somebody else who's like maybe just starting, is like, it's going to be up and down, but man, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it, and I can saying this from a point in time where we're not making everything that we want to be making at this point. And we still have to do other things to, to manage our life and our own personal financial picture. And that's okay with us, because there's going to come that tipping point where it goes the other direction. And we couldn't have gotten there just, by, some people maybe move faster. It's possible, we've done everything that we've done bootstrapped. So we're fully, up until the Kiva loan, we were fully self-funded.
Yep.
So this is the first time we've had the opportunity to involve others and needed money from the outside. And so that in and of itself is really scary.
Yeah.
But we, so there might be other businesses out there that have maybe the resources to move a little bit faster, but the pace that we've set for ourselves has worked, and it's been sustainable. We survived COVID.
Yes.
And we survived, a year of people making different buying decisions. And fortunately, we were a food product. I mean, that was a blessing. I saw some other friends, like market friends, who didn't have food businesses, who couldn't sell. And, I saw them get hit pretty hard. So I'm really grateful for that. And even so, we still had dips in sales and things just like everyone else, and we took a hit for it. But because of the decisions we've made up until this point, we were resilient, right? Enough to get through it, to weather it, and to come out on the other side. In fact, we came out on the other side better, because we used that time to work with you, to make some decisions about where we're headed, set some goals, rebrand. And that was a risk, right? I mean, what kind of person spends all their money when it's a pandemic and you're not making any money? It was a huge risk.
I honor that 100%. I knew
it was an investment in ourselves and our business, and we're so glad we did it.
Mm, that's amazing. And you guys have I feel like that tipping point is coming. And I've held the belief for a long time that like it will, like when you guys are like, I don't know, are we ever going to get there? And it's like, no, let's just stay the course. Sometimes things have moved slower, right, than we thought they would, but your resiliency, your ability to bounce back is speeding things up. We have this amazing packaging. You're putting yourself out there in bigger ways. And I feel the momentum catching on. And it's like, talk about leveling up. You guys are investing that money in some great ways that are going to really help you level up the brand. The packaging, all of those investments that you guys did make. And we're moving towards Amazon and some other shifts in your business. And it's just like amazing things are happening. And we've talked about it, like putting on that outfit, right? Like, like you're stepping into somebody who you've never been.
Yeah.
Like the April and the Earl of the big goal, right? Or that impossible goal in your business.
Right. And I like those people so much better than the person I was before, which, I didn't dislike myself or hate myself before.
Yeah.
But I like who we're becoming, and I like to see it spilling over into our personal life, right? Yeah. We obviously, we were talking about Earl. Earl's my husband. We working on this together, and that can be challenging, right? To work with we live together, we work on this together. It's, it's a lot of together. And we have seen improvements in our personal relationship and our marriage as a result of getting the support.
Yeah.
And moving. Cause I could tell you, you've seen it too, where I've just been like, we've both been like, but to have a third party involved that can like put it into perspective and help you sort of like help me, deal with whatever it is I'm dealing with, taking it personally or whatever. And, help him realize that you do have the tools that you need. You just need to tap into it. Like having that dynamic has allowed us to take sort of that practice of working together and figuring things out into our personal life. So we're doing it in the business, and this business has affected our personal life in a dramatic way and really profound way. And just for that alone, it even if the business didn't work, it would have been worth it to get those like side effects.
Yeah, they're strategic byproducts, these benefits of entrepreneurship and doing the hard things and being willing to work on yourself. Well, this has been amazing. I feel like we could just keep talking, and fills up my heart for sure. Your guys' story, but is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
First, I want to thank you. I can't even begin to, there's not words to express the gratitude I have for your role in our business, and honestly, in my personal life. I consider you a friend now, and I'm so grateful for you. And then I would add that one of the things that I love about you and that you have taught me is to have fun with it, right? Because you have this sort of contagious energy about you where you laugh at things and you don't take things really heavy, and you, problems happen and you're like, oh, it could have been worse. It
always can be worse.
But just having that lightness infused into something that could be taken so seriously because, right, it's a business and there's money involved and all of the things. I feel like if I had to give one piece of advice to anybody doing this, I would say, have fun along the way, enjoy the journey of it. It's the process is where the magic is. And, we obviously have big goals for ourselves, and for this business, right, to be something much larger than it is right now. But we are so happy with what it is right now, right? We get a call from a small wholesaler that wants to buy like 2 cases of our product. And we're like, woo, we got a new wholesale client, And I think that piece of it for me is so special and so important, right? Is that celebrating the little small things and the wins along the way and having fun.
I love that. That is just the best gift that I can receive, that you guys that you're enjoying that, because there will be a time in your business where you will look back and be like, I wish it was that simple again. Remember the good old days.
Yeah.
But the fact is, most people don't enjoy the good old days. So it's really special that you guys are able to stop and do that. And you're actually in the moment in your business.
Yeah, we've been doing a little bit of that. Remember when we used to do it like this? We were up one night recently, we were making samples because we give little samples for our wholesalers to give to their customers, like with their first order. And we were up and it was just like, we had to do it really late. And I remembered back when we first started, like we were up to like 12, 1 in the morning, like doing all of this stuff, whether it was labeling and it was kind of like a ritual for us. And now we don't do it that way, right? Because we were kind of a commercial kitchen. This is back when we were a cottage and we were doing it at home. So we could do it anytime, right? So we would be up late doing it. And there was like an opportunity for us to connect and talk about things. And we had to do it again one day. And we were like, oh my gosh, remember this? It's just like the good old days.
Like, it's okay if we do it one time every now and again.
Right?
Kind of
then that's followed up by, aren't you glad we don't have to do it this way anymore?
Someday you're going to have somebody helping you with your social media and you'll have help in other ways. And you'll be like, oh, remember when I did all of that?
Yes. How did I do it?
How did I do it all? It's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being open and vulnerable and just sharing your journey. I just know it's going to be so helpful for other people as they are on this journey. And I appreciate that I get to sharing it with you.
Yeah. Thank you. We're glad you're here with us.
What a gift. What a special treat for me to spend time with April. She is just an amazing person. And I've so enjoyed observing, being witness to her changes and transformation and evolving. And to be clear, I want to give her 100% of the credit for doing the work, for showing up, for taking action. And I am just there as the guide, as the coach, to give her tools, to give her ideas, to support and cheer her on. Go back and listen to last week's episode about the value of a coach. But to be clear, she is doing all of it. It's all her. And if you are interested in coaching with me, going on this journey of entrepreneurship and really going so much faster, like April mentioned, she actually sent me a Voxer and she said, the one thing I left out was get support sooner than later. Get help. You will be able to go so much farther, so much faster if you make that investment in yourself. So I want to invite you to go check out the new Sari Kimball Coaching webpage. And you can get there by going to sarikimball.com or sarikimballcoaching.com. Lots of ways to get there. I have 4 spots available remaining to work with me this fall. And I just think fall and September is such an incredible time to recommit to your goals, to finish the year strong, go after a big goal, and set yourself up for an amazing 2022. If this is resonating with you, if you're curious and wondering if a coach would really be able to help you get there so much faster, go check out the website, apply, and answer a few questions, and we will get on a call. You'll book a call right there, and we're just going to see if it's a good fit. But don't ignore your inner knowing. Invest in yourself. Hook your future self up. And I can guarantee you will look back on this commitment, this investment, and say, yes, dang it, I am proud of myself. And I really invested and did an amazing thing for myself and my business. That's all for now. Until next time, have an amazing week. Are you ready to start that delicious idea that you make in your home kitchen or grow your existing packaged food business and take it to the next level? The most successful food business entrepreneurs have support, guidance, focus, and accountability to help them make it happen quickly without wasting time or money. Plus, I think starting your packaged food business should actually be fun. Food business success is your secret ingredient to creating your food business dream. Please don't go this alone. Check out the private free Food Business Success Facebook group to connect with other foodpreneurs, get your questions answered quickly, share your wins, and receive special training and tools I only share inside the private community. Just search for Food Business Success on Facebook or get the link in the show notes. Curious about how Food Business Success can help you? Head over to foodbizsuccess.com and fill out the application to see if you're a great fit for the program. Together, let's make your food business dream a reality.